we start any meeting, so there's this small tradition we have in mymizu, where we would always try to see what's the kind of mood of our audience. So I want to do that here as well. So Agnes, could you launch the other poll as well? So what is the mood of the audience today? Hope so. I can say that I'm like, maybe half an hour ago I was smart dog, but now I'm happy hedgehog. But what about others? Let's see. We see a lot of lazy pandas coming in, but a lot of excited ducklings as well. So that's really nice. But yeah, this is something we, as I mentioned, we do always in our mymizu meetings, and it always brings the energy up. So that's also kind of the point. Cool. Okay. And while you guys do that poll, let me also introduce myself. So here's me. Quickly, I'll just so I can just say that I've been working at Rakuten as a product manager for almost 2 years. And I joined mymizu in January of last year. So almost been a year, not exactly. But yeah, so I've been part of mymizu for almost 10 months to 11 months now. And very interestingly, Rakuten and mymizu are two very different organizations. And working as a product manager for those two kind of organizations is also very interesting. And I actually spoke about it in a talk that I did last month. So if you guys are interested in that, I can share that link later as well. But yeah, and then basically, as you can see, there's a lot of product here on the screen. I really love doing product. And that's why I decided to involve myself in all these different kinds of activities. So that's me, but I'm still very fresh, like really fresh in my career. So I still have a lot to learn, but I really love doing product management. And that's why I'm here. Okay, so by the end of today's talk, this is kind of the stuff I'm going to be covering. So we'll talk about the story of mymizu, the journey from like the start to now. And then I'll be focusing on how we do product at mymizu. So one very interesting thing is that mymizu is kind of a popular brand in Japan, but not a lot of people may know that we actually have like really nice, really fun way to do tech in the background as well. And we are eventually like a digital startup. So that way there's a lot of fun stuff that we can talk about there as well, which we haven't talked about yet. So that's also what I want to use this opportunity for. And finally, I want to end the talk by talking about mission-driven work and the importance of it, right? So basically, by the end of this talk, I hope that I can inspire you guys with the different stories that we're going to tell to also go do in something, go find your own mission, and then try to achieve it in whatever way you can. All right, so let's start with the story of mymizu, right? So I'm sure all of us have at some point of time in our lives wanted to go or have been at like nature's paradise, like such a beautiful beach, or maybe some kind of mountains or forests, etc. And like these are the natural things that the earth has provided to us. And it's something that obviously gives us a lot of peace and makes us feel closer to the earth and to our planet. However, this is the actual reality that we can see. And this is not even a stock image. This is a real image that our founders, Robin and Mariko, took when they were visiting a beach in Okinawa. I don't think you can even call it a beach anymore. It kind of looks like a landfill or a garbage dump, which is really disheartening because firstly, like, how can a country like Japan, which prides itself on being so clean that they don't even have trash cans in the streets or in public places, have like be littering in one of the most beautiful places, which is Okinawa, right? One thing they also realized, oh, by the way, that's Robin and Mariko, our co-founders on day one at mymizu. And one thing they realized is that amongst all the litter, single-use plastic bottles were the number one winner, right? So that means that somehow these bottles are being used and then they're being thrown away without much disregard for where they end up. And there were some questions asked, which was that in a sustainable and developed country like Japan, how could this be ignored so easily, right? Everyone has access to water on drinkable water on tap. That's not something I can say for like a country where I'm from in India, where we don't have that kind of facilities. And also people have the resources to buy reusable water bottles, right? It's not like it's extremely expensive that you can't buy it. So then why still this kind of stuff is happening? And basically, once they've realized those questions, a need for very strong systemic change was felt by Robin and Mariko. And that kind of was when mymizu as a concept started. Like there was a need to do something. And now I would like to ask another question. So this is something that really shocked me when I first got to know, but I want to know, how long do you think it would take for like a PET bottle to break down in nature? And we have a poll to ask that question. So I'll just, oh yeah, okay, it's been launched already. So yeah, if you scroll down, there are more options. But yeah, like let's see what our audience thinks. Some mymizu members are here, so they may already know the answer. But yeah, so I can see already some people are hitting 50 years, 100 years, 300 years. Some have even set 800 years, and many of them have also said never, right? So as you can, here are the results for everyone. And yeah, and basically, if you guys really want the answer, it's 450 years, right? So let that sink in for a second. It means that a plastic bottle that you use today, it could outlive your next several generations. Like a bottle you're using today, it could end up affecting our great-grandchildren or even their great-grandchildren in the end. And so once you really start thinking about it, you really start realizing the effect of one plastic bottle, right? Now, let me give you another fact, which is equally scary. Every day in Japan, 69 million plastic bottles are being used. This is a little bit outdated fact. So that means that it must have increased since then. And like with convenience comes like a very big cost. So as you know, all around Japan, we have vending machines and convenience that are very shamelessly promoting the consumption of single-use plastic. And it being convenient, people would rather like accept that convenience rather than do some action from their own, which is no one's fault. Actually, it's just the way our system has been designed for a very long time. However, it does cause a lot of plastic bottle usage. And if you stack all 69 million plastic bottles on top of each other, it would reach the height of Mount Fuji 4,000 times. So like you could have 4,000 Mount Fujis on top of each other, then that would be how much plastic bottles we're using every day in Japan. And I don't know if you have, I'm sure you have all seen Mount Fuji from afar, but I climbed Mount Fuji this summer and it's really, really high. Okay. Like you can see all the way to like some other prefectures. You can literally be above the clouds and you're still halfway there. It took me 9 hours to climb Mount Fuji one way. So I just want to try to make you guys visualize how much plastic we are using on a daily basis, even unintentionally. And once these facts and these realizations start sinking in, hitting you, then the next question comes to me, and maybe hopefully came to you all as well, is that, are we already too far gone? Like, do you think by this rate, is there something that we can really do, right? Can we actually change or save the world? And the answer is we really don't know, but I don't want to sit around and not try doing that, right? And that is one of the main motivations that our founders also had, because then we don't want to be part of that generation that sat around and said, like when our future generations asked what was happening when climate change was real, and then we said we were not doing anything at all. We just let it pass because we felt like we couldn't do anything about it. And so that means, I don't know if we can change the world, but we have to try. And actually, it can be done. So a Harvard study talked about did research into different types of protests and campaigns, came up with this interesting analysis that for every nonviolent campaign that had active participation from its community, if at least 3.5% of the population participated, that campaign succeeded. And in every single case, like, it was always successful. And that was kind of the key motivator to understand whether this is actually possible or not. And so if we try to put the 3.5% rule for Japan as a starting point, that means that we have to somehow convince 4 million people to join this movement. And that would be good enough to snowball the effect all the way to the whole world if possible. And there's a lot of movements happening at the same time for climate change. So that's something that we can also participate in and do our part. And honestly, 4 million people, it actually seems doable. Apps like Facebook, Google are catering to billions of people at the same time. We have video games that are being played by millions and millions of people, 100 millions of people even. So can we not convince 4 million people to be part of our mission? And that was when mymizu started. And the first goal of mymizu was to reduce plastic bottles. And how could we do that reduction? It's that by maybe convincing someone that they don't need to buy one whenever they are thirsty, right? So mymizu started with the goal to be Japan's first free water refill app. But that's the objective thing. The more subjective and the underlying goal was that mymizu wanted to help people live more sustainably in ways that are fun, easy, and good for the planet. So by providing some kind of service for people to try to understand that they could live their life sustainably, mymizu wanted to start that 3.5% movement. And here was how phase one of mymizu went, right? In July 2019, almost 2 years ago, that was when Robin and Mariko, around that time, they were at the beach and they kind of started to realize that this is something that needs to be done. And then at that point of time, they were already speaking to Laurie, who is our current CTO. And he's a really, I work with him very often and he's a really cool guy. And once they kind of had this idea, within 30 days, they were able to release the prototype of mymizu, which is actually a really big deal. So I would really, I was really shocked when I heard about that, because once you see what mymizu has turned into, you'll start to realize the complete impact of this really quick prototype that happened. At the beginning, mymizu as the app only allowed users to search and locate places where they could refill water on a dynamic map. And secondly, they could even suggest refill spots that could be added for the entire community. And very interestingly, they were able to find an open source database of water refill spots all around the world. So on day one, mymizu already had 200,000 water refill spots around the world, which could be used by people. So that was the first iteration of mymizu itself. And that was good enough to kickstart mymizu's journey, because the next few months saw an intense amount of growth and branding and marketing around mymizu, with such a small team, but with an intensely huge mission. They started blowing up everywhere, and they were promoting at tech events, at government events, in schools, in the media, everywhere. So that meant that, okay, people are starting to get a whiff of it. People are starting to understand this is something that we needed, and someone's actually starting to do something about it anymore, right? So once the growth of the whole mymizu phase one started, then they realized it was time to scale, right? We figured out that now that the user base is increasing, the API calls are increasing in the backend, the cost of sustaining mymizu is going to be kind of high. And mymizu was not generating any regular stream of revenue, but the tech costs were increasing anyway. So then that team did an awesome Kickstarter where within 1 month they were able to raise 3 million yen to be able to sustain the technology as well as other branding related costs that they had. So again, if they were able to raise money, if they were able to raise people who were willing to pay money for this kind of service or this kind of mission, that means that the mission is really working to bring in the people that you need to start this movement. And that kind of funded mymizu phase 1.5, where in Jan 2020, mymizu basically rebuilt the whole app in React Native, both on Android and iOS. And the main goal of this version was to start for people to start visualizing the impact they're having by using the app. So the second big version of mymizu allowed people to track each time they did a refill. So each time you did it, you could see how much you are saving. You could share those things with your friends, and then like make more people organically be involved in the movement. And finally, you could visualize the parallel impact that you created. So like each time you refill the water bottle, that meant you saved you reduced the one plastic bottle from the environment. And one plastic bottle reduced from the environment leads to some amount of carbon being offset, you saving some amount of money, and you also drinking water. So it's by doing one thing, you are actually doing 4 or 5 things in parallel, which is something that they wanted the people to know about. So that was the next version of the app. Then what comes mymizu phase 2, which was from Jan 2020 to December 2020. And this was a very interesting time for all of us because this was when COVID hit. And a lot of the acceleration that mymizu was facing kind of reached a halt. So they had to start being creative, right? So they're like, okay, how can we actually get people involved still into our community while we wait for things to become steady or maybe clearer? And that's when they launched a whole different range of services or projects that have become core part of mymizu at this point of time. So the first one was the mymizu store. It was powered on Shopify, and then they realized that everyone was wanting mymizu bottles because the team was carrying them around, and the Kickstarter backers got it. So then they were able to do it. And actually, I have one as well. Oh, you can't see it through the green screen. Oh, yeah. So yeah, and it's really cool. So yeah, if you want one, you could actually go get it. They started building a lot of internal tools so that they could easily onboard refill partners onto the platform. So once the whole thing started growing so much, so many more refill spots kept coming in, the team couldn't manually handle it. So they started to do some level of automation to do that, right? Then the SNS, the social network, and the whole marketing aspect of mymizu also started growing a lot. And then they were able to bring that community from online to offline, where they engaged them in things like beach cleanups, community meetups, etc. So they were still making an impact using technology, even if not using the app directly. And finally, they were able to find some kind of good revenue stream by taking all that they learned through the last year of participating in mymizu activities, as well as the technology that we already had to improve corporate culture and integrate sustainability into the corporate culture, which a lot of companies were willing to pay for. So basically, this was kind of the suite of products that mymizu created in 2020, even during COVID. So the team was still very active, still very busy, and still doing a lot of cool stuff. And if you look at it from a eagle eye view, you can see that this is kind of within 1 year the kind of product stack that mymizu built. We had offline stuff going on, online stuff going on. Within online, the API kind of drove the app, the corporate challenge, as well as the internal tools. E-commerce was being done by the mymizu store. But I think one of the biggest products that we created unintentionally was our community. Because the community of our app users as well as refill partners, when they came together, they were the ones actually contributing to our app. They were co-creating this movement with us. And that was really, really inspiring to see. So I actually included them within our product because that's something that really helps us take our products to a whole nother level. So it's kind of an extra feature, so to say. And I was part of that community too. So I until this point of time, I've only just heard of mymizu, and I checked out the app and I really liked it, and I've been following the founders and looking at the website. And then basically I thought that I really wish I could be part of this kind of movement, and I wish I could do more than just what I'm doing because of the reasons in the next slide. So my motivation to join, this is what is my motivation to join mymizu when I reached out to them in December 2020. And honestly, it was one of the best decisions I made. passion for sustainability. So this was something that had been growing on me for the past 2 to 3 years. And I was trying to do as much as I could personally to be part of this movement. So I stopped eating beef, which was part of my diet when I used to study in Hong Kong for 4 years. And more than that, like I was trying to use my reusable bag, use my reusable bottle. But I always felt like I'm doing it alone. Every time I went with my friends to the conveni, they would very casually take plastic bags or buy coffee bottles and stuff like that. Even if it was for one piece of like one packet of chips or like they would buy one drink and they would get a plastic bag along with that drink as well. And that I always tried to stop them, but I felt like this way I may not be able to like make the impact that I really want to make. So that's why I decided I think I wanted to do more. On top of that, I was also super hungry for that start of life and skill up. I'd been working at Rakuten for almost 1.5 years now, and it was a really great experience for me working in a big company. But in the back of my mind, I always felt connected to the startup kind of journey, startup life. And I felt like a lot of the skills that I may gain in Rakuten over a long period of time, I would gain really quickly if I joined some kind of startup. So that was also one of my big motivations. Then I also wanted to find a like-minded community, especially during COVID, when all of us started to become isolated. It was really hard to find people who you could connect to and who would help you grow. And I felt when I looked at the mymizu Instagram or I looked at the team page, like these people seem like they would be really, really cool to hang out with. They would inspire you to do more things because they're already part of this kind of movement. And I really wanted to find those kind of people. And finally, as I mentioned, I wanted to be part of the large scale impact, especially which is in a positive direction. And with all these things, I reached out to the team, and very surprisingly, they reached back, and they said that they were looking for someone with my kind of skill set. And I thought, what kind of skill set do I even have? Like I'm just 1 year into my job, and I don't know what I can do, but I really want to do something. So Mariko and Laurie, we had a call together, and it was not even like, it was just a really fun conversation and super passionate about what kind of things we could achieve with the tech that we have. And I felt like it was a really great synergy, and it was pretty obvious that I wanted to be part of that team, and they wanted someone to fill in the gap of the product that was happening at mymizu. So it was really like a great match. And one question they asked me during that conversation was something that I always love answering, because a lot of people ask me that question. It's like, what does a product manager actually do? And so this is the textbook definition of product management, which is a product management is responsible for evaluating opportunities and determining what gets built and delivered to the customers. This was said by Marty Kagan, who is considered the father of product management. But it is very vague and kind of maybe technical to understand what it means. Being a product manager for almost 1.5 years at that time, this was my definition, which was that a product manager is the person who will basically do whatever it takes to release the product that they envision. And this has kind of been the sole driver of whenever I do anything related to product management, is that I'll basically be involved in anything that requires so that we can release something that we plan to do and make that impact that we believe in. And that's kind of what a product manager does. And what does a product manager actually do while creating products? So there's a lot of different things, and I spoke about it in my last talk as well, so I won't go into detail. But this was what I really wanted to do at mymizu as well, which was the whole product development cycle. But actually, before I go deeper into this, at that point of time, when I was ready to build features and do all these different steps of the product development cycle, I realized something super quickly. And it was that I got pulled into a really fast moving ship. When I joined mymizu, I realized that it was growing really fast, but the team was super small, right? It was the tech team was at that point of time was maybe only 2 or 3 people doing multiple jobs at the same time. Which is really, really impressive in the first place as well. But coming from a big tech where we had a dedicated software engineering team of almost like 100 people, we had like 15 product managers, 10 designers, I realized that this was going to be really different and chaotic, but in a super fun way. And a lot of things were ad hoc. But when I started asking some interesting questions that I wanted to know, sometimes there were no answers, because even Mariko or Laurie said, oh, we never actually thought about it. And that made me realize, okay, before I can actually get down and dirty with the actual feature specification, there's some other things that we need to do. And I made a very interesting analogy as to make sure that our, like if we are on a ship and our voyage is successful, we have to find some very important tools that will help us to do that. And so it was time to go back to the basics. So the first thing that we did was set a product vision. And in terms of my analogy, a product vision is kind of like a compass. It guides all the product decisions and priorities whenever the time comes for that. So whenever you are confused, whenever you feel like, okay, what should I do? Your product vision should be so stable that you look at it and you immediately know what you should do. If you have to choose between few options, or if you have to cut the scope or increase it, it's like remove budget, anything. And basically, after a lot of intense brainstorming sessions, we did a lot of persona building and deep dives into the business goals. We found our product vision, which was that through mymizu, we wanted to integrate sustainability into daily lives of people and make it the new normal, right? So no matter what we do, this is what our main goal will be to do through mymizu from a product perspective. And then the second thing we come to is the product backlog. So at that point of time, a lot of ideas and a lot of features were in very different places, and it was really hard to understand, okay, what can we actually choose from when we want to build something. And I treat it like our map. So it shows you the different ways you can take, or the different paths you could take to achieve your vision. You have a different bunch of options, and you could take different directions to do that. And to create this kind of backlog, I went through all the user feedback that we had gained. I went through app reviews, the social media comments, even especially inputs from the team, deep into the Slack channels, and try to find the common elements that seem missing, and or what kind of features are missing from the app, or what could really be beneficial if we added it into our app as well. And finally, I put them into one place and prioritize them by their importance, so that we know, okay, what do we need immediately to get closer to our goal? What is something we could build later? And those kind of things. Then the next thing we had to do was we had to build our team. So as I mentioned, mymizu tech team was literally 2 people, and now I had joined in. And as you know, on a ship, if you don't have a crew, you cannot ride the ocean. So we immediately needed a crew, because I think if you really want to have really fast product development, you need super passionate people who can do really great stuff, be it design, development, and other kind of things. So we decided, and that was the first time that mymizu put a call out for maybe hiring developers or designers. And honestly, we had no expectations, because we felt that maybe people were not interested in this kind of work, or maybe they're too busy to be volunteering their time. But honestly, we received a really overwhelming response. And it was really surprising to see how many people were actually looking for some kind of opportunity like this, so that they could put their efforts into something that they really believe in. And after a lot of conversations with different people, we brought in some very talented and passionate members to our team, so that they could help build the products that we had kind of imagined. And one thing that was really important for us was that, like all of us, we never had the skills to begin with when we joined this project. It was something that we were really passionate about and really driven to learn. And that was also something we looked for when we did this kind of hiring. And we found some really great members who are still in our team today and contributing really well to all the products that we built. So I was really happy to find that kind of crew that could help us and guide us throughout this journey. And finally, it's about the processes. So a process is kind of like, what will you do in this scenario? What do you do in this case? What is the different steps? What's a different life cycle something should go? How do you communicate with each other? How do you write down your documents? There's so many things that we needed to do, and they help run a smooth ship, right? These are guidelines that every member can understand and contribute to. And we realized we needed to standardize our way of sharing our information and ideas with the team. Otherwise, it may be really hard to be on the same page, especially because the whole team was remote and also in different time zones. So we built our product workflows, and we also tried to build a product work culture along with it. So like, how would we want to build our products? Would we want to do agile methodologies? Like how quickly we want our sprints to be? How would we communicate with each other, etc. And then a lot of different important documentation templates, so that anyone who wants to maybe suggest a feature knows where they can file them. Anyone who wants to suggest an improvement, if we want to create some design documents, if some development documents, everything is kind of in one place. And Notion was super helpful for that. I'm a huge proponent of Notion. So if you guys are also looking for something to do that, definitely check that out. But yeah, anyway, so after getting our product vision, after finding our product backlog, so after we got our compass, after we got our map, after we got our crew, and once we set our processes, now I felt, okay, the ship is actually ready to explore the deep Mizu. And after this was when after this was when we can say that ready to build something super impactful in a more sustainable manner from a product point of view. And right when this ended, which was kind of like in the beginning of summer, May 21, to July, we started mymizu phase 3, which was all focused around summer. And there were some interesting concepts floating around. So the first one was that one of mymizu's goals was, and it always had been since they started, was to promote the importance of plastic-free hydration in the summer. So we know that a lot of people are going to be thirsty during the day, during the summer, and they are going to be tempted to buy plastic bottles. How can we make sure that we communicate these kind of things, that that you can still be hydrated, but you don't have to buy so many bottles anymore? The second point was, at that point of time, Kobe City wanted and Ministry of Environment of Japan were interested to partner up with mymizu to do a campaign about heat stroke prevention, which is also related to kind of being hydrated. And finally, as I mentioned, our product vision was to make mymizu a part of people's daily lives. So all of these three things kind of fell into place, and we realized that, okay, what we want to do is we want to achieve all these goals and we want to be in people's mind every day. At this point of time, mymizu as an app was something they would remember to open when they had a when they had a reusable bottle in their hands, and they were outside trying to find some place to refill their water bottle. It's a very niche use case. What we wanted to do was that somehow you are using the mymizu app every day, and you keep getting the mymizu logo or even the mymizu messaging into your subconscious, because that way then you will keep remembering the mission that we're trying to promote all the time. So it was a very psychological thing that we wanted to do. And actually, a lot of social media companies do it in a very negative way as well. So you are addicted to something like TikTok or Instagram. It's because they have created these these hooking cycles, so that you keep coming back to the app, not even daily, but like every 5 minutes. So we wanted to do something like that, but for a very, very positive reason. And that was why we came up with our big release this summer, which was called Daily Mizu. And it was a hydration tracker. And it fit in very perfectly with all the other features we had built, and it became part of the mymizu ecosystem. Some of the new features we had released through this was that you could set your hydration goals and track them daily by how much water you're drinking. So now you might be able to link the fact that, okay, now you have something to do on the app even when you're not looking for a refill spot. Or you have some kind of information on this app that you're interested in, if your health, if you're taking care of your health or hydration, or you just want to make sure that you're drinking a lot of water every day. Another thing we built, which was much needed for a long time, but we didn't felt the need of it earlier, was notifications. So we built in the notifications functionality, so that every day or every hour, and you can customize it, you can turn it off, it depends on you, but you get reminded that you have to drink water. And through those reminders, we kind of take some kind of space onto your home screen. And that means every time you see mymizu, you see the logo, you see water, you kind of start to feel in your mind that, okay, no plastic, no plastic. And this actually works because we have like user data and we have user research that talks about how subconsciously these kind of features help them be more sustainable. And finally, you could do some kind of daily streak and you could stay motivated. So this was all part of our goal to gamify sustainability, which is something very interesting. And we wanted to make it fun, we wanted to make people feel instantly gratified by doing something that has a long-term effect as well. So that was why we introduced these kind of features. And now I can talk about this, right? So now as a product manager, in each step of the way, we were I was kind of involved in making sure that, okay, we are going in the right direction. We are following the vision as well as like the different features that we built, talking to the users, trying to understand what are the pain points they have when they can't hydrate themselves enough, gathering the requirements from like Kobe City or our co-founders as to, okay, what is the minimum dates that we need to deliver in, what kind of functionality, what kind of budget do we have, etc. Then we did all the actual grunt work as well. We defined the specifications, we did the design and development, testing, release and marketing, and then finally the cycle continues. And I'll just share like a few actual like visuals from that. So after we did a lot of our user research and we did a lot of competitor research as well. And very interestingly, there's actually more than 20 apps in the App Store which track your hydration. Like I was so shocked to see the saturation of that. So we really wanted to make something that stood out. And so we had many different ideas that we put into some kind of backlog, and we tried to prioritize them as to what do we need at least to release an MVP. Then the second thing that we did was, obviously, once we had those features in mind, we started creating some kind of general wireframe so that we could communicate our goal and vision to the designers and the developers. And then obviously it evolved into our UI UX prototype, and like our designers did a great job on this. It really brought out the core value of mymizu. We even made our own design system at this point of time. And yeah, it just felt really like it fit into all the other functionalities that we have. And then this is what one of our product specs look like. So we went, like, I'm from a big company, so this is just what's been ingrained to me, but we went into deep detail. Every action of the user, we should be able to know what happens if they click this, if they swipe here, what do they see, what should it mean. So this was kind of how our feature spec looked. And because we had a template, so it was really easy to communicate these to every member who was involved, and anyone could write this product spec or contribute to it. So that was the best part of being in this kind of team. So it really eased the workload of me as well. And then there was a lot of coding and bug fixing magic that happened in the middle, which is every time. I'm a software engineer, like by education myself, but every time I see the ideas become reality, it always just amazes me, even though I might know how the code works. That was like great to see it coming into motion and like becoming reality. And then finally we worked with our amazing marketing team to release this kind of feature. And the kind of messaging was that you're always one tap away from water, and we want everyone to switch to plastic free hydration for themselves as well as for the planet. And then, so I've talked about the features and the process of this hydration tracker. But as I mentioned, we had a lot of underlying goals. We wanted to give people an alternate reason to use this app. We wanted to make people track their refills daily, so that now, instead of putting in your tracking once in a while, you're actually engaging with the app every day, and you are increasing the community numbers as well as your own numbers as well. As I mentioned, we wanted to integrate the mymizu messaging into the user's subconscious. And finally, we wanted to gamify sustainability and like kind of give the idea that everyone can be a superhero because you're contributing to that final number that we have. Okay. At this point of time, let me just quickly go through the chat to see if there's any interesting questions. Yeah, so okay, there doesn't seem to be any major questions for now. So let me answer any more questions that come in after this thing. So yeah, so as of last September, mymizu finished 2 years, and I wanted to just take a lot of our team is also here, and I wanted to just take the next few minutes to go to talk about what actually mymizu has achieved in the past 2 years. Starting with the very most, the most special thing that we have is our team. So as you saw in the previous slides, mymizu started with 2 people. Then the first prototype, at that point of time, they had 4 people in the team, and slowly over the period of 2 years, we have a really vibrant group of people who are all really passionate about environment as well as the work they're doing. And it's just it's just such a great blessing to be in their presence, and like knowing that you're working on this mission with these people. So our team has really grown in 2 years at a really great and organic pace, which is really amazing to see. And very interestingly, I would say that 90% of the team members are volunteers. So they're giving up their free time outside of their jobs or their studies to contribute to mymizu, which is a huge thing, me included. Like it feels like sometimes I'm doing a second job, but I really like putting in my free time into mymizu, and that's something that all of us have in common, that we all do. And then now about the success of the app. So as you know, you've now seen the whole story of mymizu that started from an idea to the first prototype version 1.5, and then the hydration tracker. And this was good enough to make us #1 on health and fitness chart at the app on the Apple App Store, which is crazy. Like it doesn't seem real, but the screenshot kind of proves it, unless someone photoshopped it. I don't know. And we were also at one point of time top 10 free apps overall. So we were even doing better than Nike's running app, and a lot of other cool stuff. And then 3 times we have become app of the day on the Apple App Store as well. And we don't even realize it. Like someone actually reaches out to us and says, "Oh, you're app of the day again." And we at this point of time, we're like, "Oh, again." So like I'm really happy that we can actually joke about it this way, but it's a huge achievement as well. So this is about the success of the app. Now let's talk about, over the past 2 years, what type of people have wanted to be part of the mymizu movement, right? We have had some really great partnerships with a lot of big companies who are trying either putting their focus in or trying to put their focus in being sustainable. And that's what's important for mymizu, is that changing the mindset from within at a large scale. And that's what these corporate partnerships help us do. So we've been running challenges with some of these companies. Some of these companies we've been running like campaigns. We will be in the future hopefully working with some more great companies as well. But there's just a quick overview of that. But it's not just corporate companies as well. It's even government as well as like universities. So that's also something really interesting, because one of the greatest ways to make impact is through administrative changes. So if you can actually convince governments to change laws, that is a huge thing that you can do. And mymizu is actually on the road to do that. So that's also something really amazing. And our team has such a great way to partner up with these and provide value and also get value from these partners. So there's the kind of corporations or different kinds of companies that want to partner with mymizu. And now let's just talk about some pure numbers, because again, this is something that is really surreal. But so as of the time of making this presentation, which was maybe 2 days ago, mymizu was at 160,000 app downloads, with almost 60 to 70,000 people who created accounts. We let people use our app without account creation as well, but they actually created the accounts and they used the app. So within 2 years, that's one of the things. But something even more special is that at this point of time, we have more than 1,600 businesses that want to be refill spots on the app. And this happened very organically. Like we've never done business development to try to get people on the app. It's always been word of mouth, or just like through the sheer power of the brand. And this is something that we really hope that we can push to an even further level in the coming year. But these partnerships are really the key to motivating us to understand that, okay, there's so many people who want to be part of the movement, even from a business perspective. And combined with all the users and the businesses and the refill spots, we have been able to save more than 330,000 plastic bottles. Um, and as I mentioned a few slides earlier, if you would like just this sheer number is good, but if you would like it to be translated into other things, it's more than 111,000 kilograms of carbon offsetted. Um, and that is really equivalent to almost like forests or mountains and these kind of things. And if you wanted to even visualize it further, collectively, the community has saved more than 36 million yen. Um, I don't want to do the conversion in US dollars right now, but yeah, it's a lot basically. And so that means that you're also saving a lot of money when you reduce plastic bottle usage, along with all the other great things that you're doing, right? But there's one thing that I want to say at this point of time. It's that when I was making this presentation, and one of the reasons for giving these numbers as well is not to show off, because I feel like one of the things is that one of the things that really hit me is that why why Mizu got this amazing community. They were able to save so much plastic or like have these different kinds of partnerships or rewards. Why was it that mymizu did this? Was our idea truly unique? um I don't think so. I mean, obviously, as I said, on the app store there's so many apps doing same things. Maybe they have an even better technology or engineering team, and our tech wasn't so cutting edge either. Like really it was really robust, but it was really simple. We weren't using any crazy blockchain, AI, ML technology, or we weren't like disrupting anything from a technology point of view. So like, what is the reason that a refilling app and a sustainability brand can hit these kind of numbers and collaborations, awards, etc.? Right? This is something I really thought about. And that's when it brought me back to the original picture that I showed you. And it was all because of the people who started it all. Like I really felt that if your heart is in the right place and you have a clear cut mission as to what you want to do and how you want to achieve it, these kind of successes will come very easily. And this is the mission that was set by our founders is basically the reason why that a team of 90% volunteers can achieve this kind of growth that even large funded companies find it hard to do, even if they're working full time, right? The mission was the reason why tech team of maybe 5 to 6 people with no like immense experience can build something that can engage with the entire country at this level. And finally, mymizu as a brand is able to systemically transform human, corporate, as well as governmental behavior. So it's all about the mission, which led to people doing these kind of activities because they really believed in that. And when I started to think about that, that's when I realized I wanted to go more into it as to like, why is it that being part of this team or being part of being mission driven, why is it something I really like to do and I like to put my time in? So one of the first reasons is about legacy and impact. So I really feel that one of the purpose of us being in this world is that we need to leave behind something positive for our future generations. All the comforts you have today is because someone created innovation or someone sacrificed something in the past years so that you could have what you have today, be it your own family, or it could be even like 50 years ago, the person who invented the internet. Um, so I really want to be part of something or do something that creates a legacy and an impact, and something that benefits society and drives the civilization further. Second point is time and energy. You only have a limited amount of time, and especially if you're working full-time job or you're studying, you even have lesser time, right? So what do you really want to do with that time? And I really wanted to put it into something I believe in, because I feel like that's where it's spent well. And when I'm passionate about something, I don't even get tired of doing it. So I could do it for a long time because I know my time is going into the right place. The third point is about risk and courage. Like me, I've seen the skills I've gained in the past year. And it's only possible because I decided to put myself in this situation where I went against these intense challenges. But the beliefs that I had pushed me through this, and you can really become your best version when you put yourself in that kind of situation. But you have to take those kind of risks and be courageous to do that. And finally, you need to have your own set of personal morals and ethics, and you can only build them when you're mission driven. So you know that what you need to avoid, what is something that you would definitely always vouch for and support, and all these different kinds of things. So these are like some things that are really important when you're being mission driven. And then the next thing you should do is that once you do realize you want to be mission driven, is that it's very hard to do it alone. And you have to find a mission focused team to do that. It can really accelerate your growth skills as well as the impact you're creating. And there's a few ways to do that. The one way to do that is that if you're working in a team already, you should seed that culture into your current team. You know, anything you're doing, you can create your kind of mission, you can create your product vision, you can get people inspired and motivated that they're doing something much bigger than just creating software. You know, they're changing people's lives, they're creating communities, they are working towards your future generations livelihoods, anything. Or you could also, if you don't have a team right now, or if you feel that's not possible, find out what you really want to do, find role models in those organizations, and then reach out to them. They will be the ones to take you in, because if they are passionate, they really want more passionate people. And that's what happened in my case. All I did was reach out to the people at mymizu, and then, you know, like so much happened since then. And finally, you could also find your own cause and build your own team around that mission. And this is what our co-founders did as well. But regardless, I think regardless of what you're doing, you can become a mission focused person, and you can really feel that kind of growth and skills that you can gain from doing that. So you could do all this, and you could join mymizu too. So as you saw, we really care for like passionate people to join us and help us out in whatever skills they have, because we have a place for everyone. So yeah, like I've already talked about mymizu so much, so I don't think I need to say much more about what you could achieve and what kind of impact you could create by becoming part of mymizu, or just supporting from even outside by using our services or engaging with our community, etc. And yeah, and we're almost to the end of my presentation. And next up is mymizu phase 4 for our technology and product team, which is actually something that I'm super excited about, because now we have a lot of set processes. Our vision is very sound, and we have a lot of things. We have our backlog completely created so that we can pick and choose whatever we want to do, and our team's there to build it. So the time we spent in the past 9 months trying to build all these things, now we can really like go crazy into it and do some great stuff over the next 6 months to 1 year. So please stay tuned for that, and join us for the ride if you're interested to build something like that as well. So yeah, thankfully I'm actually on time. That's very great to see that. But yeah, that's the end of my talk today. I'm always super happy to talk to anyone if you want to speak about product or you know, like entrepreneurship, startups, or just anything. Actually, I really love meeting new people. So please feel free to reach out to me. All my information is on my website, or you could also just find me on LinkedIn. That's the best way that we can connect. And please definitely follow the mymizu Instagram for future updates. There's a lot of really cool stuff planned coming in the next 6 months to 1 year. So hope you can be part of that movement and support, whether from inside or outside as well. And if you're interested to know more about mymizu, you can obviously go onto the website and check out the different stuff that's going on over there. But yeah, that's it from me. This was my talk where I talked about how we're building products to save the world. Again, I think it's a very like clickbaity headline, but if we look after this whole 1 hour, I hope that you do think we're doing something like that. But yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for attending this talk and sitting in front of your screens for 1 hour, but like listening to our story, because I really felt that it needs to be told to people so that they can take in the inspiration and really go forward and do their own things as well. Yeah. So, and finally, just before I end, I would really love to thank the mymizu team as well for all the great stuff that they have um, built over the past 2 years, and for giving us this really great mission to focus on. Especially the product and tech team that I've worked with very closely for ever since I joined and you guys came on board, and looking forward to doing really great stuff over the next few months. And also thanks to Agnes and Code Chrysalis for giving us this platform. And and yeah, like I really had a great time brainstorming this kind of talk, and just being able to give this at this stage of my life is something that I'm like I never thought I would be able to do. So yeah, okay, now I'm gonna stop talking at this point of time. But thank you so much. Um, if there's any questions at this point of time, okay, there are some questions. Let me go through that. Okay, let's see. How did you manage to release in 30 days? If you're talking about the original app, you should speak to Laurie because he was the sole person behind it. So I think that would definitely be another interesting story that you could share during Code Chrysalis, Laurie. So definitely think about it.
Yeah, another talk, how to release application within 30 days.
Definitely. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Let's see. What else? Can you give us some ideas as to what kinds of collaborations you have done with companies, governments, and universities? So with companies, there are some different kinds of collaborations where we try to integrate sustainable culture into their corporate culture. We do that through team building. We do that through like this product that we have called mymizu Challenge, which is kind of like thousands of people come together to see who can save the most amount of plastic bottles, something like that. Um, so that's a really great way to make it fun, but also like share the message, because the messaging is really important. With governments and universities, we've done similar challenges, but we've also had a lot of people just like interested to promote mymizu in their city. We've had school students literally take posters and walk around from store to store trying to get them to be on mymizu. These stories are really, really inspiring and great to hear that they're doing so much great stuff. So yeah, I think some of our most heartwarming stories come from our collaborations with the companies as well as governments. The next plans and features for mymizu, it's secret. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of the stuff we will do in the future is try to increase our refill partners, because as I mentioned initially, everything was organic, but we want to really accelerate our movement of reaching that 3.5%. And to do that, we really want to maybe reach 10,000, 20,000 refill partners if possible, because that would be really, really great. Because then imagine just leaving your house and at every 500 meters, there's a refill spot. You'll never have to buy a plastic bottle again. So we'll try to improve our internal tools as well as our map functionality, and do a lot of like cleaning here and there to make our app experience even better. Any plans to scale up and branch out? As of now, not, because I think there's still so much great scope that we could do. But you never know. Like the parent organization of mymizu is called Social Innovation Japan, and they always keep doing or collaborating with different sustainable movements and companies in Japan. So there's definitely something that could grow from there. So even I'm interested to know that. What was the biggest challenge when you transition from working in a big corporation and a small company? So I talked about this a lot in my last talk as well, but I think one of the biggest challenges is the chaoticness that I mentioned. So it's really fun, but then you realize that if we don't kind of get these things together, it could really harm us in the long run. And one of the other biggest challenges is the speed. Like we would like the mymizu team itself doesn't know when a new partnership is coming up or when a new function is needed. So they'll know maybe like 3 weeks notice, 1 month notice, and then we have to like really go deep and down and figure it out. So that's something that we really like. I really feel like it's exciting, but it's also really challenging. Yeah, okay, so I think that covers all the questions. Let me stop my screen share at that time, and Agnes, if you want to give any closing statement, please go ahead.
No, I don't think I can add anything to like you said so much. And I just want to mention that, like, you know, it was 4 million people, right?
Mm,
So there was around 30 people over here joining. Every person over here in this meeting, if we tell at least like 5 people, five
mm,
friends, then maybe we can reach a 4 million goal
definitely.
um
Yeah.
very soon. And then also, if you have any local businesses, any local cafes that you're friends with, you're regular, you can always come and say like, hey, have you heard of mymizu? This is what I'm doing in my area. Like, have you heard of mymizu? No, I'm gonna tell you about mymizu.
Yeah, and actually we have a feature in the app where you can show you, even if you can't speak Japanese, you can just show them that screen and they can know everything about what it means to be a refill partner as well.
This
Oh, I mean, I've been talking about the app the whole time, but if you already haven't downloaded it, please definitely download it, check it out, give us feedback. What do you think we could improve it? You know, like those are things we are already looking for. We're a very user-centric product, and our community is very important to us. So whatever they say, we'll hopefully try to build it. But yeah, I think that's definitely true. Please be part of the movement and help us promote the app, and as well as just the idea of using less plastic bottles. And yeah, I think we can really do something great with this kind of mission.
Yes. So please help mymizu reach their goal, because it's gonna benefit all of us. I think that's my closing words.
Yeah.
I have nothing more to add.
Yeah. We actually have, I don't know, Robin, you are here as well. Are you still listening?
We have some mymizu
Yeah.
participants, right?
Yeah. Okay, maybe they stepped out. But yeah, if anyone from mymizu is interested to also just chip in, feel free. But anyway, you can always reach out to the team through the Instagram, or you can tell me and I can like connect you to the people. Um, but yeah, it's really great experience, and I really hope that you guys can go ahead and like find your own mymizu, and really do something that benefits our society and builds it further.
And with these beautiful words, we're gonna wrap up tonight. Thank you everyone for attending again. And yeah, maybe next talk we should bring Glory and ask him to, like, you know, to tell how can you build a working application and release the product in 30 days.
Definitely.
So again, thank you and wish you a great night. I don't know, or great rest of the day. Um, oh, Robin, I think, yeah, just texted in. There you go.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and I will close the meeting soon, because if we wait for everyone to leave, then we'll be waiting for another 1 hour, I guess.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening. Bye bye.
Bye.